Hi everyone, I'm Sajanya Gamadiola, the Capricorn Power Communications Manager. With us today, we have Capricorn CEO Mike Hodgkinson and Giles Bourne, the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of BluGlass. Giles is a senior executive with over 20 years of international business development experience, gained in the clean tech, technology, and manufacturing sectors. He has extensive management experience in ASX listed and private technology businesses. As you can imagine, we're thrilled to have him with us today. Thanks again, Giles. And actually, I'll let Mike take it from here.
Thanks, Sajanya. I first met Giles in 2014 when I was at Raygen, and he was the judge at the Australian Technologies competition that we won that year. My company also won the 2016 ATC, and Capricorn Power, of course, won the 2018 ATC Energy Division. So I've always believed that Giles has extremely good judgment. So thank you, Giles, for agreeing to this conversation today.
A great pleasure.
Great. Perhaps first, would you be able to outline your background in technology innovation and advanced manufacturing?
Yeah, sure, Mike. Well, thanks for having me along today. And, it's an exciting enterprise you're involved in. So my background is I've been working in the tech sector now for actually over 20 years. I've been in Australia for 23 years, and before that in the UK, you can probably tell by my accent. But I've been working predominantly on sort of high-tech businesses, and for the last 13 years, that's been with BluGlass, which is a semiconductor business, which has come out of one of our leading universities here, became a private company, and then became a listed company to raise the capital that we needed to sort of go through a long R&D phase into commercialization. So lots and lots of experience in tech. And as you mentioned, I've been involved with the Australian Technologies competition for 7 or 8 years, first with BluGlass being a winner and then being on the judging panel. So I get to see an awful lot of really interesting technology coming out of Australia. And there is some absolutely fantastic stuff that I see every year. So I've got a background from hands-on sort of operations with BluGlass, but also from a higher level looking down at all these and getting to analyze a lot of different interesting technology from a very broad spectrum of industry. So it's very exciting. And obviously I've come across Capricorn Power through the tech comp and known Mike for some time through the Raygen before that.
Cool. And in that 20 years, I guess the question is what trends have you seen in technology innovation in Australia?
Look, I can say, using the technology competition is a really good sort of marker. As I've been in the last 8 years, let's use, for example, the quality of the companies coming through that process are getting better and better every year. So I'm seeing a lot more, and their trends are changing depending on sort of flavor of the month. From it was 8 years ago, clean tech, and it's moving sort of more to sort of med tech and pharma tech and various other things like that. But I'm seeing increasingly more and more innovation coming out of Australia, and more innovation being funded domestically in Australia rather than having to go overseas to chase dollars. So there is some really, really good tech coming out of universities, coming out of people's garages, spinning out of big corporates as well. But I'm seeing a lot more of it.
How important have strategic partnerships been to BluGlass and to innovation generally?
Oh, look, for us, it's been our lifeblood, having strategic partners to help sort of guide the sort of conversation through. So in the case of BluGlass, we've got some novel technology, but that technology is only as good as your customers think it's going to be. So working with a partner, a strategic partner who's going to be perhaps the ultimate customer, helps guide through the technology. Not only help guide through the technology into the right path, but it also helps fund it as well. So for us, our strategic partners have actually helped the R&D. So they pay for the development of a lot of the tech that we're doing. We retain the intellectual property, but ultimately they're the end customers, licensees of our technology. So it helps make sure that they've got skin in the game, so they're committed. We're not just doing a pet project for our own benefit. We're actually doing something which has a genuine market need out there. So to answer your question succinctly, Mike, strategic partnerships and collaborations are really, really important and helped guide our business through. And I see it a lot with the other businesses that I'm involved with through the tech comp and so on and so forth.
Thanks, Giles. BluGlass is obviously an advanced manufacturing company. I guess the question is, why would investors consider investing in advanced manufacturing in Australia?
Well, as I said earlier on, there's a lot of really good tech coming out of Australia, particularly in the advanced manufacturing sector. And as we've seen, there's a real change in profile of the type of investors over the last 2 decades in Australia. So before, where there wasn't a lot of venture capital around, the ASX was a de facto venture capital sort of platform. People are seeing that advanced manufacturing is a really good return of investment, perhaps slightly longer term than some of, say, maybe the software type platforms, etc. But beginning to see returns from that. And so as a result of that, you're seeing more investment coming into Australia, early stage investment. We're seeing increasingly more VCs around, accelerators, angel investors, etc., which is really proof on the sort of that it is a solid investment. So I am increasingly seeing more venture capitalists who are investing directly into the advanced manufacturing space.
Cool. And what are the advantages and I guess also the challenges of product development in this space?
Well, the advantages are, the advantages in this space of product development is that we've got very, very good infrastructure here. We've got good universities. The challenges, I suppose, being in Australia is you're remote from some of the markets, and I can only use it from our example, but BluGlass is in the semiconductor business, right? And all of our customers are overseas, and the supply chain is mostly overseas as well. So some of the disadvantages are that you're not close to your end customers and not close to the supply chain. But I say this, I've been here long enough to call myself an Australian, but we're a country that adapts very quickly to these, and we innovate around this. So in our example, we've set up our own workshops, so we can very quickly repair parts, we can manufacture parts, etc. And so we've adapted to that situation. And in terms of being operating in a global marketplace, yes, slightly more challenging in these times now during COVID, but we've always managed to manage that through first being on the plane all the time, and now more recently we've set up our overseas offices, etc., to manage our supply chain hands-on. I hope that's answered your question. It's a bit sort of roundabout, sort of circuitous answer, Mike.
That's good. My final question is, what advice would you give early stage companies to help them commercialize their product?
Oh, look, straight up there's a couple of things I would absolutely recommend. One is knowing your customer. I mean, absolutely right early on, you've got a great tech, but if you don't know who your customer are and you don't know what they want and you don't know what problem you're solving, that is a problem. So very early on is to actually get engaged with customers. To the point you raised earlier, is set up strategic partnerships, collaborations, etc. And then the other sort of really critical thing is getting the right people involved. Now, early stage companies may not be cash rich and may have limited resources, but making sure you've got good people around you who can look at all the aspects of the business. So an inventor might not be the best salesperson, might not be the best finance person. You've got to plug those gaps. So plugging those gaps with good people right on early on, knowing your customers, but also having very clear milestones of what you're going to achieve, knowing managing your finances well as that's really critical. Absolutely staying on top of a budget and working within that budget. Those are sort of the 3 things that we at BluGlass try to adhere to. We've been very fortunate. We've put some very, very, very good team in place here, not only from the directors, but all the operational people who've got involved with the business. And we've spent a lot of time until COVID, obviously, out there with our customers, with our partners.
Great, thanks, Giles. Some great advice there. Back to you, Sajanya.
Thanks again, Giles, and thank you, Mike. We hope everyone enjoyed this conversation, and you can see more of this type of content on Capricorn Power's social media channels. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.